Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. I am your host, Mual. AJ is on the way. Dre is on the way. On the show today, we got former NFL wide receiver Josh Morgan checking in. Josh Morgan, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Josh Morgan is still around the Washington Commanders in some capacity. So it'll be good to check in with him for a second, see what he's been up to, but also talk about some things, man, Commanders related. He's also spent some time with two former top 2 quarterback picks in the NFL. I hope I worded that right. Obviously spending some time with Alex Smith in San Francisco, but then obviously he was here the first 2 years that RG3 was here. So obviously 2012 and 2013. So the man Josh Morgan is going to be checking in for a second. That'll be good to pick his brain a little bit, chop it up with him. Let's get the administrative items out of the way while we wait on the fellas. If you are new to the Trap or Die podcast, man, make sure that like button, make sure that subscribe button. Even if you ain't new, man, make sure you hit that like button. We need that. And on Twitch side, same thing, hit that follow button. Audio side, follow us. Rating, review is definitely appreciated. Always appreciate it. Let's go ahead and bring AJ in this thing. What's going on with you, player? How you feeling, bro?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Shit, I can't complain, bro. I'm going through it, bro, but I'm thugging it out for the show. I was telling somebody earlier. I was just on social media, bro. I was like, bro, if you got a good, clean bill of health out here as in your adult years, bruh, like I'm not jealous. I am very happy for you. Like it'd be people going through some things that, you would never even thought of. Health concerns, whatever it is, all that stuff. And I'm going through it right now, but I'm thugging it out. I'm gonna thug it out for this week. We got one more show. I got one more show with the R32 side too. But yeah, man. Here to chop it up with Josh, bro, and chop it up with y'all, man. Check in and see what this Brandon Aiyuk stuff, all that noise is about, bro. I don't know where Dre at right now, but what you about to say?
So I was gonna say the reason why I was a little bit late. Josh had just called me. As some of you know that are in the DMV, we got a heat advisory, and those that aren't in the DMV is extremely hot. Josh is actually a coach of a youth football team, and due to the heat advisory, they've had to push back practice. So he's gonna miss tonight's show, but he will be on next week
Oh
Tuesday.
Lord Jesus. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah, so we do the show next Tuesday. He'll guarantee be on. It's things beyond our control, but like that's one of the things that he's involved with. Life after football, and I can't force him to come on here to pass up. Teaching them youngins or whatever.
Yes, you
So
can, bruh. It's like, nah, let me stop. It's cool. It's all good, man. We're gonna go ahead and push Josh or welcome Josh to next week's show. Before we take our little break ourselves. But yeah, Josh, I guess will be on next week. But we got a couple things to talk about. It's interesting though, because uh the Brandon Aiyuk discussion, I was talking to Disco. I know you follow Disco, so does Dre. I feel like this is one of those conversations where it's like we need training camp to hurry up and get here. Now I know there's some people who don't feel the exact same way in terms of like the tone or the nature of the conversation surrounding Brandon Aiyuk. Some people believe that there's a real chance that something can happen before the season starts with Brandon Aiyuk, meaning him not being on San Francisco anymore. So that is a relevant conversation. But I also think that there's some people like in my boat who I feel like I don't know what's going to happen, and he may not stay in San Francisco, but I don't think that the move or the decision to uh, separate from San Francisco happens anytime soon. For those who don't know what's going on, I don't even know if I still got the clip. I'm gonna see if I got it, but I'll long story short, and just in case I don't, Brandon Aiyuk made a TikTok over the past couple of days that's really gotten Commanders fans specifically jumping in terms of conversation because he was on FaceTime with Jaden Daniels. And part of the conversation, which was recorded from a woman he was with, I don't know who it was, but recorded the conversation and
that's his wife.
his wife. Okay, so the wife recorded the conversation starting off with him saying to Jaden, yeah, they don't want me. Um and they have a quick conversation, like a 10-second conversation in the clip, and then it ends with basically them laughing after Jaden what he said. He called for his mom or something like that.
He said,
Like,
"Mama."
yeah, mama. So that's kind of how the TikTok ends after all of that, a quick 10-15 second conversation or clip conversation. And that's kind of what we're discussing right now, or kind of shedding light in terms of contextually speaking. Yeah. Everybody in the chat, what do you all think about that conversation? What do you all think about the likelihood of Brandon Aiyuk actually being serious in that conversation? What do you all think about the idea of San Francisco moving on from him before the season starts? AJ, we're talking, so we can kind of even just start chopping it up off of those questions. What do you think about what we're trying to understand from that?
Yeah, man. I think yesterday's video that Brandon put out, especially with Jaden Daniels, was very strategic. Um, I think in his position, he's been disgruntled in regard, like if you want to use a formal term or terminal or word, whatever, he's been disgruntled this entire offseason. Um, Imagine you lose the Super Bowl, right? I think this is the second time that he's been a part of a team that's lost the Super Bowl. Then you go into your off season, you're seeing a bunch of your peers at your position getting paid and cashed out. You got a teammate that got cashed out not long ago, Debo Samuel. you got more production than him, and you're fighting to get this contract. Meanwhile, you know, guys that you share similar numbers with is getting 28 million plus a year. Some are even hitting 30. Um, yeah, so before even this video, he did an interview with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco back in March. Like, and me and you both, we watched I don't even remember the Nightcap.
Nightcap.
We both watched Nightcap. How many times have they really had a guest on there? Maybe 4 times since
Well,
they've
you
been
know,
doing
they've been
shows.
they've been trying, but well, I
But
would assume they've been trying.
you know what's interesting now I
So
think
they
about
had
it?
Jaden on there.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So the two NFL players that they have had on there have been Jaden and Brandon. So there's videos from even the draft, the night of the draft, like walking the red carpet. Someone from Overtime, that's a media company, asked Jaden Daniels, "Who's your dream teammate?" He said Brandon Ayuk. We've been knowing these guys are best friends. Brandon Ayuk even introduced Jaden Daniels to Adam Peters a while back. Always kind of like spoke highly of him, things of that nature. Washington Commanders, Adam Peters decide to select Jaden Daniels. All the connections is really there, right? And that's why I think like the fan base is gravitating to it. And on top of that, Washington they have a need at the position, and they also have the cap flexibility to do so. I just think with Brandon's approach, he's just like, I need to cause more hysteria before training camp happens, because when training camp happens based off the new CBA, you can't even recoup that money when you get a new deal. Like, you're essentially have to pay those fines. He already paid a fine for missing the mini camp, which is $10,000. Now, when you go into training camp, it becomes an even bigger fine per day. So it for me, I think that he was just like, let me go out here, put out the messaging that I want to get up out of here. I want to get paid. And ideally, I would like to be paired up with my boy, my best friend, Jaden Daniels in Washington. They got the cap flexibility. They got a need. I could put up numbers, because even the numbers that Brandon's putting up is pretty impressive, because he's in a run heavy offense. He's not even in a pass heavy offense, and he's putting up these numbers. So I think that's just where it is now. Will anything happen? Don't know at all. Like, anything is possible. I just think that Brandon is extremely frustrated with the fact that his option has been picked up, which means he'll be playing at 14 million a year, and he doesn't want to do that.
Um, so I'm in the boat where I do think that the video was strategic, but I think it was him like putting on a show. Like I think something was going on to where uh and what bothers me is that I can't really tell the end game. It was a weird video to begin with. Like, honestly, in my opinion, it was just a weird video. Even the setup, he never mentioned, by the way, that he was, and we gotta take everything, we gotta take these context clues in like, we can assume he was talking about San Fran, but he never said who he was talking about when he said they don't want me. Secondly, he also is always on the FaceTime with Jaden Daniels. If not, they're always hanging out together. So
Bro,
that could all
he was
be,
watching San Francisco film.
yeah, Jaden.
Or somebody
Well, I
was
don't,
watching
somebody,
it.
yeah, I'm about to say somebody, because I don't know how it works
Yeah,
on
it
FaceTime.
looked like Jaden was watching a San Fran film, or either highlights of Ayuk on YouTube, and that's how it came up.
So like all of I'm saying what I'm saying is there was something there where whatever was going on before the camera got there, that was planned. Um, but I also don't know to what extent like anything has changed from the organizational standpoint. Like, they've been having this back and forth, uh, quote unquote back and forth, for some months now in terms of Ayuk and San Francisco's front office. So I'm kind of lost in terms of what his motive was, because the video in itself was confusing. And that's kind of where I'm stuck at. I think that when you look at Ayuk, the truth is I'm sure he's pretty frustrated with how things had went. But I also think that he's smart enough to know, his agent is smart enough to know that you still have an opportunity to get re-signed by the San Francisco 49ers, and playing on your fifth-year contract is not fifth-year deal for your contract is not the end of the world. This is his fifth year, right? That he's going into the fifth year, the 1 year or the extension part.
Yeah, fifth year.
Yeah. So I think that he's smart enough to know that this isn't the end of the road for him. I think Terry got his new deal here in Washington when his contract expired, and they were working out a new deal. I think on the tag, I believe. So like there's several different ways in which something could get done, and I'm sure he's frustrated in terms of how things, like the decision to even pay Debo probably before, you know, you look at a Ayuk who has ascended every single year as a receiver primarily, and not as like a dual or a multi-purpose player like Debo. But I just think that he's smart enough to know, which is why the video confuses me, that this is not the end of the road. And him saying they don't want me, I'm not being naive. I'm literally just saying I think that there was just something more to it. And like the context clues in the video can suggest one thing, but I also think that he was really trying to stir up the pot with whoever it is that he was talking to. Let's think about it. All of the people that he were talking to includes Commanders fans because Jaden's on there, San Francisco fans because that's the fans of the team that he's currently on, the front office, his coaches, and the NFL market that is watching that video, knowing that he just said that they don't want me. Anybody who's interested in Brandon Aiyuk, which was reported, one team that was reported was the Jacksonville Jaguars before the draft. They tried to make a deal with him, or deal with San Francisco, and I think they turned it down or something like that, or they weren't interested. I just think that messaging that he had in that video, it wasn't just for Washington, but I think it was for multi-purposeful, and I think that it was somewhat of a troll / show that he put on for whatever reason to just get something started. But I don't think that it means that something's about to happen. I just think that it was somewhat of a conversation starter, a generator for whatever purpose that may be.
I mean, I disagree. Because as you know, a couple months ago, I tried to get Brandon on the show, who I got a relationship with, and he's been pretty upset with how negotiations have went. The lack of, there's a rumor that got put out that they offer him 26 million, but I really feel like that offer was put out there to just save face. At the end of the day, he pretty much kind of wants to control his destiny because he sees the writing on the wall. When the 49ers go into the draft first round and take his former teammate from Arizona State and Jaden Daniels' former teammate, Ricky Pearsall, at wide receiver out of Florida, the first round, the writing's on the wall. Like what's coming? They know that they got a budget and plan accordingly because you got guys like Hufanga you got to pay. Trent Williams wants a new deal. You just gave CMC his new deal last week. You just re-signed Juwan, not re-signed, but you extended Juwan Jennings. You also took another wide receiver in the fourth round, Jacob Cowing. Like the writing's on the wall. So pretty much, if you're Brandon Aiyuk, if you play on this option and don't get extended, 49ers can change up how you get numbers even for the season going into possibly a opportunity to have to negotiate with the team or open market. But more than likely with the team because they still control your rights in a sense because they could use a franchise tag, whatever. Then the 49ers got to pay Brock Purdy. Like it's like what they're doing is strategically planning to force his hand based off how like the collective bargaining agreement is set up to where he has to play for 14 million this year. And hopefully they win a chip, whatever, maybe they restart. If they don't, they still hold his rights. And I think that's why the video came out like it was all planned. And I don't think Jaden would put himself intentionally in the mix of controversy because that video, if he just does it without Jaden in it, it becomes a conversation about not one particular team, but more so it opens the door to any team that needs a wide receiver, right? Whether that be the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Broncos, whoever. Because we even asked Adam Schefter when we had him on here about Brandon Ayuk, and he told us, hasn't really heard too much about it, but things could change. And I just think Brandon's looking at it like, hey, I'm gonna start my own marketing plan here before training camp when these fines gonna really get up there, and let's see what's up. And
Well,
it was planned to have, I think if he can get to another team, his number one target would be to join his boy Jaden Daniels in Washington. And that's why he
well,
was on the video.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. If he thought that this marketing campaign was gonna be better off starting with a TikTok video, he I think he's selling himself short. He need to AB this thing, bro. He need to do the
I mean, I think
chirotherapy,
it's
freeze his foot, bro. He can't practice, he can't play. He need to tell him, bro. He got bunions, bro. That's the size of a golf ball, and he
but
can't he
Maul,
can't even plant on his foot, bro.
it's
That's what he
working.
need to
He
do.
did it yesterday. We in a dead period of football until training camp starts.
I bet you they
Like,
don't care, bro.
no,
I
I
bet
feel
it.
I feel like
I bet they don't care.
I feel like at the end of the day, they don't care necessarily because they control his destiny. No one's going to miss training camp and miss $50,000 plus per day or week, whatever. Like, you can't recoup that anymore. Back in the day, you could miss training camp days and you could recoup that in your contract. The team could work out something with you. It can't happen no more. So it's just like he already missed mandatory mini camp and got fined the 10K, which is a slap on the wrist, right? I mean, of course, like we all would love $10,000, but that's a slap on the wrist. In order for him to feel like he's putting himself out there, like, hey, someone come and offer these motherfuckers something for me, like, or and preferably let it be Washington because I got a relationship with Adam Peters and the quarterback that they just drafted. I'm saying all this to say I don't know what's gonna happen. Maul don't know what's gonna happen. Nobody knows. But I think that there's something that should be looked into, not just only from a commander standpoint, but any team that need a wide receiver because he's been disgruntled since the season ended. Like this
Yeah.
ain't something new in a sense. It's just he put
Well,
out a video featuring the number 2 overall pick.
yeah. Two things. One, yes. Jay Tyler is right. We are going to spin the block on Josh Morgan. Next week. He is taking care of some youth football camp duties. Practice got pushed back somewhat, so he's going to miss tonight's show. We are going to change the title. But anyway, those who are checking in and missed that part in the beginning of the show, Josh Morgan will not be on tonight. He's going to spin the block next week, so we'll have him on soon. But the second part of this conversation, because we were only talking about the video, was the value part, adding Brandon Aiyuk to the team. I do feel like it would be worth trading for Brandon Aiyuk. I think one of my main things, AJ, when we talked about him, and it's crazy how we'd have had several conversations about him on the show throughout the summer, or excuse me, all season, not even just the summer. Because I think it's one of the biggest conversations. It was him and it was T. Higgins before he ended up signing his franchise tag in Cincinnati. I just think that, like, for all of the conversations with Aiyuk that I've seen on social media, I think that, like, if you just flat out don't want Brandon Aiyuk, in terms of opinions, I'm not here to argue why you should or shouldn't want Aiyuk. If you don't want him, that's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. But I think if you are choosing not to explore the idea of seeing what you can acquire Aiyuk for, or what's the price, like, all of those excuses that you have for Washington is just flat out terrible. There is no reason you should not be asking San Francisco how much does it cost, or not even offering, if it's a reasonable deal, to try and get Brandon Aiyuk. You have people saying, and this is why I disagree, like, with some of these people who say excuse, like, you got to wait until you're ready to compete. You need these draft picks because you're a rebuilding team. First off, you don't know you don't know how much it's going to cost, but you know it's not going to cost the first round pick. It may cost multiple. It may cost multiple draft picks, but you know it's not going to cost multiple high end draft picks. If you can lose. I would take who wouldn't acquire Brandon Aiyuk for a second in an additional pick, knowing that everything in those mid round picks are just as a crapshoot. Like you have a proven product, so I don't get that. Ready to compete. Like when the opportunity is there, like there's not many people or situations where you have the money, you have the capital, period, to get it done, and you have a need, especially with a young quarterback who's on a rookie deal. Like that opportunity isn't always there for every team. So those things I don't really agree with. There's several other ones that people say, isn't necessarily like I've seen somebody said, like, how's the fit going to work? Because Terry plays one position, Jahan plays one position, and Aiyuk plays the same position as Terry. This will never work. And I completely disagree with that too for 1,000 other reasons, but I'll pause there. I think the fit for Washington is solid, but I also think what's more important here is like if he was available, like there's no reason why you look at Washington's situation at the receiver position and say, yeah, if you don't want him, cool. If you just flat out don't want him, cool. But I don't think you look at Washington's situation and say, yeah, I'm not interested in seeing how much it costs. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the fans have PTSD, and some may just not know football. Like that's just the reality of it. Because a player like Brandon Aiyuk hasn't even reached his full potential yet. You're talking about a guy that's 26 years old, and like I stated in the beginning of this conversation, he's in a run-heavy offense. He's not even in a pass-heavy offense. Like if we think that Cliff Kingsbury is going to um, he's going to change his ways of how his system is and focus on running the ball more. Brandon Ayuk is also one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the league too. Like, I mean, we've seen it every time we watch the 49ers play, how impactful he is downfield and taking care of his man. I just think that a lot of it is PTSD from the moves in the past from Deion Sanders, the Adam Archuleta's, the Bruce Smiths, the Jeremy Trouter, the Sean Gilberts, all those things. Like the fan base just gets scared when they hear these names, the Paul Richardsons, whatever. A lot of those guys, things happen in free agency. You're gonna hit on some, you're gonna hit on things that don't work. Someone said to me today, you know, what about, when we got Santana Moss and London Fletcher? I'm like, do you not remember
London was a free agent, wasn't he?
Santana Moss got traded from the Jets to Washington, and Fletcher signed as a free agent. Yeah. It's like you can do several things to build out your team. You can retain your talent, you can sign players in free agency, you can draft well, and you can also trade for players that might be available and fit within your culture and the schemes that you want to run. Like you could do all four of those things and be successful. I just don't understand some of the conversation and even say like people using the Texans, for example. When you got your guy, then you can kind of go in like how the Texans went in this offseason with acquiring Stephon Diggs. How do you truly know if you got your guy after 1 year? I mean,
Right.
We've seen it here as Washington. RG3, 2012 was amazing, but did you have your guy? Because things happen. Like, it's just so many different ways to it. I mean, if you look around the landscape of the league, so many teams are trying to get two wide receivers that can truly be a number one within the division alone. You got the Eagles that drafted a Devontae Smith, but also traded for A.J. Brown. Trading for A.J. Brown pushed them to the Super Bowl and made Jalen Hurts a franchise quarterback that they're paying over $200 million to. They just
Just
gave.
think about Buffalo situation when Stephon went there. Like I'm obviously he went to Houston this year, but when he went to Buffalo, it wasn't. Yeah, Josh Allen wasn't like he wasn't what he is now before Stephon got there. Like
two in Tyreek Hill in Miami. Like it's too many examples. I just think if you can get something done, or even if you can't get something done, you still have to inquire about these things. You have to look into these situations. And I think Washington has the upper hand because you have an individual that came from San Francisco, where this particular player that we're referencing is from. Excuse me. He also played a heavy role in the drafting process of taking Brandon Aiyuk in the first round. There's been clips of that showing. You gotta make your mark. You can't sit on the internet and be like, oh, I believe in Adam Peters and he loves draft picks. Yeah, he also likes elite players as well. Like
Yeah.
everyone that you draft is not going to hit. Like I put up yesterday the Washington Commanders' last 4 years of draft picks 1 through 7, and I can bet you everybody through all those years of all those picks, you would trade all those guys for the one player in Brandon Ayuk. Like, even though we could sit back and say, oh, that regime isn't here anymore, but San Francisco has also missed on a lot of guys in the draft as well. Like, they've hit on some guys like a Fred Warner, a Brandon Ayuk.
That's another thing. Now I think about it, you brought it up, bro. Like a flaw in people's argument is like, why are we making the case for draft picks, and why are we so honed in on the fact of draft picks when you have a proven commodity and you're talking about going into the draft where not a single team is 100% hit rate in the draft, bro. Like, there's no guarantee that this draft pick that you select in 2025 with your second and your fourth, um, given that's just the one everybody talked about from FanDuel that put out there. Your second and your fourth that that they're going to hit. When you can get Brandon Aiyuk signed to a 5-year deal at 26, 20, 25, 26 years old, you get him for 3, 4 really, really good years. What are we talking about?
Plus, you got an example right on your roster, which is why this conversation is even going on. Jahan Dotson was picked 2 years ago, 16th overall. And we don't, I mean, I feel like I
We
got a good glimpse of who he is, but he damn sure ain't gonna be no star. He ain't gonna be no number one. Like,
yeah,
because
you
if
know.
we felt like he would be a number one or he is a number one, this conversation wouldn't be taking place because you'd be like, oh, we got a wide receiver on a rookie deal. Nah, it's all up in the air. The only person you can bank on is Terry McLaurin, who is also getting older. He's turning 30. He also has availability in his contract for Washington to get out of. Then if you move on from Terry, you have no wide receivers. You're pretty much going into next season with having to focus on getting a wide receiver. You may still have holes at left tackle, right tackle, offensive line, whatever, but you're going into next season with your wide receivers being Luke McCaffrey and Jahan Dotson just off of circumstance. Like, do you really want to go into next year like that? Hell no. So that's why I just feel like I've always been mentioning on here that wide receivers are important, and I feel like it's going to come to bite them during the season if they don't make a move. That could be Ayuk, that could be T. Higgins, but overall,
Are we back?
yeah, I ain't know what happens just now.
Yeah, my I don't know what that was the first time my connection ever dropped during the stream. But I heard you up until the point you mentioned you said Jahan and Luke McCaffrey it post Terry essentially.
Yeah, I just think a lot of the conversation people just scared because I mean you mentioned fit. How is he not going to fit? Like
Right.
where could it be a mishap? It actually opens up so much more for the offense. It actually creates an opportunity for the offense to have even more playmakers and reduce how the defense will strategically attack them. Because I feel like Terry McLaurin is a solid wide receiver, but he ain't really no damn threat to a defensive coordinator. Like he can make some plays here and there, but he ain't Tyreek Hill, he ain't Justin Jefferson, he not Devontae Adams. He's not one of those guys where you losing sleep at the end of the night, having to go against him. But if you bring in an Ayuk, you add in a Dotson, however they plan on using Ben Sinnott, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, who knows what the hell they doing with Luke McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just help your offense get even better and see Jaden Daniels blossom and be able to put up the numbers that you hope and have the success. Because I really don't believe in this whole rebuilding thing. I think that's cap. I don't think any NFL team can afford to rebuild. And what does a I guess that's a question maybe we could segue into. What does a rebuild even look like in modern football? And who's the last team to successfully do that?
Yeah, I think so. Rebuilding, that's tough, bro. Because like there's some teams who had the same model as Dan Snyder. From an ownership perspective, over the years, right? Like, and then you have some people, some teams who had what's that dude name in Jacksonville? Khan dude. Where he's looking to spend as much money as he can. Understanding it's a rebuild, but he's looking to add in all of these free agents to build a solid team. And from Washington's standpoint, he's like, you need a rebuild, but some people are fighting against it. A modern rebuild, bro, like
Hey Maul, can you even rebuild if you never built a team that was even successful?
Well, that's actually a good question, because I think to that point, we don't have to fully dive into it. But what's something that stood out to me with that Washington Commanders vlog thing where they talked about the draft, and they went to the draft room, the war room or whatever. One of the things that I noticed that I know that Washington has never had in my living time, and definitely not during Ron's time, because if they did, they would have made sure to highlight this. They gave out 20 throughout the entire draft. They gave out 20 commander grades or gold stars or whatever, something like that they identify as true commanders, somebody that fits their culture, their competitiveness on the field, everything they want to embody in a player. And to your point in which you asked the question, like, those are the people, whether they end up hitting or not, those are the people that you identify you can rebuild a team with. And I think for Washington's side, they never had that here in Washington in any capacity. They was just, I like him. Like they just finding people who they think can work here. But like everybody was not necessarily a fit from an identity or culture standpoint. And for Washington, I think that's something that's interesting. I would imagine they did that in clearly in San Francisco, and I think they did it in Dallas too to some extent as well. Baltimore, they got it. And I think that's one thing that always keeps Baltimore afloat, whether they have a down season or not. Like, they identify players, and they identify players that's going to fit their culture. And then they also identify that they're not afraid to take, like, I don't know if I guess controversy is not the right word, but you look at Kyle Hamilton, Lamar Jackson, they're not scared to make those picks, regardless of what the outside people think of them. So there's several different teams out here who understands what a rebuild is. But if you have a strong foundation, you don't even get to that point where you have to retool everything. I think you kind of started you got a little grace or a leeway before you get to a full blown rebuild, such as like the Carolina Panthers and what they're going through right now.
Yeah, I guess that's why I asked it, because it's like, in my opinion, you can only rebuild what was already a foundation. Like, if you had like good skeleton and bones of a home, right? Then you can rebuild on it. But if your house is just trash, which I would say Washington's house has been trash, you can't rebuild that. Like, you just buying a new house. Like that's how I look at it. So it's just an interesting thing to me. Like, someone could say the Lions rebuild. Did they? I mean, the Lions were a solid enough team at a certain point. Just unfortunately they had a bad coach, but they still put themselves in position to succeed. But I don't even call that a rebuild. So it's just an interesting topic overall.
I muted myself. I about to say, I think that Patricia period was what forced the rebuild, but I think the turnaround was just quick. Like, Campbell came in year one, obviously stunk the joint up, but like they got things turned around super quick. But I think that's also another part to your question, like what is a true rebuild? But another part is also like how quickly can things turn around? Like things shouldn't always be expected to take multiple years. It could take a year. It may not even take a whole year. Like it could take a couple, like one off season and the first off season, so long as you have some pieces in place on that roster already who can establish things from the get go. But also, you finally got the right coaching staff in place that can guide and lead this team to a winning foundation. But also, like from a leadership standpoint, I think it's a mix of so many different things.
Man, Jay Tyler said this team wasn't trash player wise. The organization and coaching staff were. No, this team was trash, bro. Like, if you look at how
this is
many
going to be a true
players,
test, though. Let you go. I would say this is
like,
going to be the true test because we got a lot of players or plenty of
if you
players
look at the
returning.
list of how many players they moved on from just this offseason and how many they added, shows you
Yeah.
that the roster was trash. Like, it speaks volumes. Like,
Yeah.
I will tweet out a graphic that I seen of that. Like, is definitely like overwhelming. It's probably about 25 names that aren't part of the team.
Bro,
this
we talked
season.
about it. We talked about it last year. Like, how many people will return? How many people would you bring back towards the end of last year? How many people would you bring back to 2024 team when you get a new head coach? I said I couldn't name more than 15.
Yeah, like it's very few guys that you could bring back. So I even think like if you look at the Detroit Lions situation with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, if they didn't have the success that they had last year, those guys possibly could have got fired, like going into year 3 of their regime, like because they missed the playoffs. They had a poor record the first year. If they missed year 3, they definitely would have been on the hot seat to get fired, especially in Detroit. You know, they got rid of Jim Caldwell, who had a damn good record, had them trending in the right direction, and they fired that man. So that's where I just don't believe in like the whole rebuild talk. I think coaches got 2 to 3 years to show and prove what they can do. Outside of that, I don't believe it. I mean, we've seen coaches in back-to-back seasons, and Nathaniel Hackett with the Broncos get fired year 1. We've seen Frank Wright not even make it to the end of the season in year 1, get fired. And it's possibly going to happen to someone again this offseason. I mean, not this offseason, but this season. Like, I just don't think you have enough time to rebuild. You don't have 5 years like Ron Rivera tried to sell you guys on. Like, yeah, we're almost there. You know, we're getting close.
We ain't supposed to be mentioning that name on this show anymore, but you know, I'll give you a pass, bro.
Hey, Jay Tyler, if you could join us on the show right now and please tell us who the hell are these foundational pieces, or if you want to, you can
Well,
put it in the chat.
we got some, bro. We do got some, but I mean,
Yeah, but
it's
to say the
Terry,
roster was filled with
Durant.
foundational pieces is insane. Like who?
Oh, shoot, he just said there were some, or there are foundational pieces here. But I
There
mean,
better be out of 53
there's
men.
Terry. You got Terry, Durant, John.
That's it. That's it.
That's it, bro.
I don't want to hear nothing about no Cosme.
I was about to say Sam, but I think Sam need another year before we say he a foundational piece.
Folks over here buying into these PFF grades when there's 10 plus guards better than him in the league. Like,
no, I do think Sam's straight though. I think Sam a good guard, bro.
I think Disco said to me, "Oh man, you gotta pay Sam Cosme." I'm like, bro, you don't even know what kind of player he is.
Well, are you not going to pay Sam? Like, what's up? Why wouldn't you pay Sam?
I'm willing to play it out.
Man, you tripping, bro.
I need to see
who they got it, man?
So you telling me you would extend Sam Cosme right now?
Yeah, I got like a 2-3 year deal.
This is last year. You would extend Sam Cosme right now.
Like a 2-3 year deal. Yeah, right now.
To put him in the ranks of being one of the highest paid guards in the NFL?
I would give him a 2 or 3 year extension. You don't have. I don't know what he thinks he is willing. Or I don't. Excuse me. Let me rephrase this. I don't know what he is willing to accept. I don't want to play that game right now. Yeah. I would just say I would do let's give him an early 2-3 year extension where, like, if he continues to perform at this level, he can get this super deal because he was young when he came in, right? Like 21, 22, something like that. Like
I
he
think
can,
so.
yeah, he can come back in 2 years and get a way bigger extension where he's further solidified himself as a guard. I would extend him, but I wouldn't do like a 4 or 5 year deal.
Nah, I'm good. I'll wait it out. I think Sam Cosmi is going to become this year's Cam Curl. That's exactly what it's going to be.
But let me
So
join
they
in.
ain't got no
As far as
O-line,
within the fan base, like they got to do it every year. So Cam Curl was their guy last year. Oh, we got to pay him. Like he's amazing. He's talented. It's Ron Rivera's fault. Nah, Sam Cosmi will become that guy.
AJ, Sam Cosmi hasn't had a bad season here at all. I mean, he's been one of the solid constants on the offensive line. Like I've been actually, I listening to a little bit of the show. I mean, because I had to come in and cool down. I had a rough night, but I mean, if
A
you're
rough
willing,
night, it's already another night.
hey, it's been a rough night, man. I had to cool. I had to come in this joint.
Oh,
Cool
you're talking
down
about
for
a
a
rough
second.
night tonight, not
Yeah,
from
tonight.
yesterday.
I'm talking about from me. Yeah, tonight. Like just now. And I'm
so
talking
he named
about,
he named the four that I would have thought of, bro. It's just foundational pieces, bro. It's Terry, Payne, Allen, just the people who've been here throughout the Ron, who survived the Ron tenure, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that list that Jay Tyler put out. But I mean, for AJ, I know AJ would like to make the big splash move for Aiyuk. I mean, but you don't want to kind of solidify the offensive line or pay that guy that's on the offensive line. What I don't want with Sam Cosmi is a Brandon Scherf situation. Now, I'm not saying he's on Brandon Scherf's level as a guard. I don't even think you would have to pay him that much as a guard right now at this point in his career. But I do think he's a solid foundational piece on that offensive line, and I would not want to get weaker there when we need to get stronger at the offensive line. It's pretty much probably what you would call the weakest position group right now that we know of on the team. So I don't want to get weaker by letting what we know right now to be the best player on that offensive line. So hell yeah, I would extend Sam Cosmi.
Man, I use my franchise tag. Let's see this thing play
But
out.
see, we did Brandon Scherf, AJ. Like we did the franchise tag.
I actually don't think that. Yeah, I don't think the franchise tag doesn't really scare me with offensive linemen. But I personally, to reiterate, I'm going for an extension over a franchise tag.
Yeah, me too. I will much rather do the extension thing than the franchise tag thing. Because like I said, I think Sam Cosmi has found his spot. I mean, I do know that there were issues early on in his career when he was playing right tackle, but I think even then he kind of settled in and he was at least decent at right tackle. But when he went to guard, he was even better. He had a really good season last year. And I do think that that's probably where his future lies. And I don't want to play the gambling game with him. Like, I mean, sure. I mean, I don't know how Adam Peters and the crew feel about him if they want to wait, but hopefully, they get something done with him because I want to at least keep that spot locked down while we try to solidify the rest of the offensive line.
Yeah. That offensive line is going to be tricky. I think we actually are going into the season with the same question marks that we had last year. In terms of left guard, left tackle, and then right tackle as well. I think Wiley is going to be pretty interesting from the standpoint of like, what are we going to see out of him? Like, not necessarily saying is he going to be a superstar this year or is he going to be much improved, but like, can we see some stability out of Wiley, like some consistent average to above average type of play from him? And then obviously, I think the left guard situation is going to be honestly. Who's the dude? Andretti? Is it Andretti?
Allegretti.
Who is Andretti, bro? That sounds like a mob.
That's a race car driver.
Yeah, that's definitely a race car driver.
All right, so Allegretti, bro. Like, I think that the more I think about it, bro, like they obviously paid him some decent money, but I think that left guard spot is about to be open for competition, bro. You still got Mason Brooks out there. You still got Ricky Stromberg, and then obviously Allegretti,
Chris Paul,
and it. Yeah, but I don't think he about to. I think he got his chance last year, bro. But I think that you got technically 4. If we want to put Chris Paul in the mix, you got 4 guys on that spot that can really get some bump in terms of competition. And I think when we talk about some positions for sure, like, some obviously when it comes to quarterback, coaches are going to tell you competition is the main thing, and I do trust them. Like genuinely, I do trust them when they say that competition is important. Like and that's going to determine a spot. But I think it's more it's softer when it comes to that position because they know who they want to play off rips. They have a lean in terms of who they want to play and things like that. But when it comes to other positions, that left guard is the prime spot for. Yeah, we got 4 people here that we feel like can really battle it out, and we're going to see who's going to play. So even with Alec Grady coming in with that money, I don't think his spot is guaranteed, or even if it was presumed, because I don't know if it was according to other people. I have no idea, but I think there's 4 people there who can really battle for that spot. And then left tackle, obviously comes down to the rookie and Lucas. And who's the other
Trent
dude?
Scott.
Yeah,
Trent Scott.
Trent Scott. Like it's gonna come down to those 3. But I think that the top 2 names is Lucas and TCU, man. So yeah, so I don't know, bro. Like what y'all thinking?
TCU, man. I mean, when it comes to offensive line, bro, I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy training camp, preseason games, because I mean, I think we really don't know who the collection of starters is gonna be. I think everything is on the table. I think everybody's job is on the line except for the center. We know that Tyler Badass is going to be the center of the team. Outside of that, I don't know who's going to be the left tackle. I don't know who's going to be the left guard. I can't even really say if I'm sure Cosme could be the right guard because they may move him back to tackle or they might move him to the other guard. Like you just really don't know what's gonna happen with that particular position. Like Wiley could play right guard. You got a lot of interchangeable pieces within that offensive line group. Even Brandon Coleman, who's been deemed to be the left tackle, he got guard background as well, and a lot of NFL analysts will say that he's a guard more so than a tackle. We just really don't know. I think that's where things come into play. Yeah, I guess I'll be the diabolical hater because I say I don't think a guy is top 10. I'm a hater. But yeah, I'll be that. But at the end of the day, I just don't know who the offensive line group is going to be. I think that's where these the training camp will come into play. Also, the dual training camp dates with the Miami Dolphins and who's the other team that they
Jets.
gonna be the Jets. Like those are teams that's gonna have multiple pass rushers and inside interior rushers. Miami Dolphins, adding Chop Robinson. You got Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb. They also signed Calais Campbell. You got guys that will get tested in training camp. Then with the Jets, you got Hassan Reddick, Quentin Williams, John Franklin Myers. You got Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. So this offensive line is going to get tested in training camp. That's where I think those particular dates of having the joint training camp dates is going to solidify who's going to be the starters for week 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dre. You got it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, yeah, it will find out right now. And it is a big question mark. I mean, I personally don't think even with whoever ends up being the 5, I don't think they'll be as bad as they were perceived to be last year, especially if the coaching is a little different. You got to have the awareness of what your guys can do and, who's at quarterback. I mean, obviously, Sam Howell didn't help the offensive line out at all last year. So Jaden Daniels, I do think he'll help the guys out. I look at Jaden Daniels as one of those guys as he's an offensive line's dream. I think he's the type of guy that makes an offensive line look better because of his ability to do what he does in and out of the pocket. So I do think the offensive line is just going to get a boost significantly just because of what type of quarterback that is. Even with Jaden Daniels being a rookie, still he has that dynamic ability to escape sacks and get out there and run and make better decisions. So I do think that they're going to, see a boost from that. But I agree with AJ in the fact that we're really going to see what these guys are made of in training camp, especially with those joint practices. Obviously, the left side of the line is the biggest question mark because we got two positions with no clear-cut starter right now. I mean, obviously, I think we think that Allegretti is the front runner for the left guard position, but there's going to be a battle. And then, of course, the left tackle, which is the scariest one. I'm rooting like hell that Brandon Coleman can kind of emerge and take and solidify that position.
That's his name.
Yes, yeah, the TCU guy. I'm hoping TCU guy can solidify that.
I didn't even know you forgot his name. I just thought you was just calling him TCU guy.
Nah, man. Look, bro, I be having.
I swear I thought you was just saying that for the hell of it.
I genuinely be having brain farts, bro. It'd be crazy. Bro.
I feel you, bro. It happens to me, man. But yeah, I mean, that's the guy we want to emerge and come out of here is that clear-cut starter. Because if he is the guy and he shows that I'm the starter, that's a position you have locked down now for like at least 5 years or so. I mean, because you get a good left tackle, you keep those guys, and those guys can become a foundational piece on the roster. So that's the biggest hope for me right now is that Brandon Coleman locks in that left tackle spot. I know he's played guard. I know some people say that he may eventually end up at guard, but to me, that's not best case scenario because I do feel like it's easier to find the guards than it is to find those bookend tackles. So I'm rooting like hell this training camp that Brandon Coleman emerges because I feel like if Brandon Coleman doesn't emerge as a starter in training camp, then he's most likely going to get pushed inside the guard and he'll probably never get kicked back out there to the tackle spot. So that's one thing us fans have to kind of look for, pay attention to, and hope for the best with that.
Yeah, if you hit on Brandon Coleman, you now open yourself first round in the draft next year to take the best player available. That could be Travis Hunter.
Or a receiver. It could be a receiver. You may not need your boy Aiyuk. AJ.
You might be able to get Champ Bailey. You have Travis Hunter out there playing both sides.
But you probably got to have a top 3 pick for Travis Hunter. Now. I don't know if he's going outside of that top 3.
They saying he's going outside the top 10 right now. Yeah. They got like Will Johnson from Michigan ahead of him. I think that's more so because
if you go outside the top 10.
I think it's because teams are scared later. They don't really know where to necessarily put him at full time, and if he's really going to be sold on the idea of being there full time. So I think that's what's going to cause the hesitation for some teams. But like Mual even said, and we all know, like certain organizations just know how to utilize players the best that they can. Baltimore Ravens is one of them. So many people doubted Kyle Hamilton because of the slow 40, 4.7, whatever. That boy an all-pro. That boy an all-pro shining out there. And now you got people with revisionist history talking about, damn, we should have had Kyle Hamilton. No shit. The tape don't lie.
That's the thing.
You that this is an intelligent player.
You have to trust the tape. Like, and I hope that people have kind of learned their lesson from the Kyle Hamilton thing, because Kyle Hamilton is the poster child for, oh man, he didn't have a good testing, but everything was on tape with Kyle Hamilton. I mean, he was a beast at Notre Dame. Yet when he ran that 40 time, oh man, the stock started dropping. People start thinking he was going to be a marginal athlete at the next level. Now, to me, like I said, I think Adam Peters is a smart guy. I mean, especially, I don't know if you all watched the draft log or the Commanders log last week, but to me, that's a guy that he was in full control. I mean, he seems like he's very calculated in how he makes his decisions. So I do hope he's a guy that looks at tape and says, I trust tape and I'm not just going off of testing, because Travis Hunter to me is not a guy that falls out of the top 5. If he falls out of the top 10, that would be crazy to me.
Yeah. That's just a little sidebar conversation, but that Commanders log was legit. Like, I definitely hope they provide us with more content of that nature, because it was good just seeing the process and the thinking and how, like, they truly trusted the positional coaches too. They, integrated Joe Witt Jr. in the conversations. Hey, what you think about Johnny Newton? What you think about Mike Sandstrom? Like, pleading to be there and thinking about even trading up to go get Mike Sandstrom, you feel me? Or like how excited they were that Johnny Newton was falling. Like, what the hell? Can you believe this? Like this stud. What does Dan Quinn say? Like,
badass.
He's a dude or something like that. Badass. He's something like that. For them, they were so happy that Johnny Newton was there. Like, I can't believe it. Like, the Bengals took a different defensive tackle. They took Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. Like, yeah, we got to bring him into the mix. Even they did the same thing with Ben Sinnott or Senate, however you say his name,
Yeah.
with Cliff Kingsbury. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what you think about this? Like, I thought that was amazing content. That's what the fan
Yeah.
base needs. They need to see more of that. Hopefully, they continue to show the fans more of that interaction because it truly showed the connection, the relationship that Dan Quinn and Adam Peters is building, but also the rest of the staff, the scouting department, and how they're going about their process. And you can clearly see it looks day and night compared to the Commander log we watched last year with Emmanuel Forbes and
It was so
what was
quiet in there, bro. Like they was whispering.
yeah,
They
with
was
Jatavius
whispering.
Martin, yeah, Quan Martin and stuff last year. So you can see it's night and day.
But I think if there's one thing to that I do want to shed light on, I already mentioned Dre too. Like there was one thing for sure that I like, is that like you haven't had an organization for Washington, you haven't had a regime, better yet, where you had labels for commanders and what you identify as a commander, and they had 20 that they gave out for the draft. Washington was able to select 4 of theirs. I think it was 4 of theirs commanders. And I think that was really good because it's setting the precedent moving forward from everybody who's going to be involved in the draft process and what we want on our team. But another thing that I did want to bring up too, when people say, because people throw this stuff around all the time, this is Adam Peters' team, so like whatever he does, I'll trust him with it. And Adam Peters controls things, like that kind of rhetoric. While it's true, I think it's misguided because like that video in itself, that command vlog shows you exactly what he does when he makes decisions. It's a collaborative effort, regardless of whatever people want to say about his role and how he makes these decisions. But he's involving everybody. AJ already said it, so I don't have to repeat it to that extent. But that is what somebody who is running the show also does to get people involved, just like Dan Quinn was alongside with him this whole time, talking back and forth with him. But Peters is working the room. He ain't just talking to Quinn. And he's making sure that everybody has some type of input. And I think that's the most important thing when people talk about somebody as in Adam Peters running the show. Like he got it on lock, but it ain't just him making these decisions. Like he's making sure that people understand where he's thinking and where he's leaning.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on this on episode 238. I'm just fucking around. I don't know what episode, but yeah, we talked about it going into this offseason, like before free agency draft process started. We talked about the collaboration aspect, and some of our viewers were like arguing, like, no, he's gonna make all the decisions. I mean, even another name that was a part of the decision, not necessarily saying, hey, let's pick these players, but hey, let's be a little patient. Like things are gonna work through. Was Josh Harris? He was like, Adam, see, like things worked out. We ended up getting Mike Sandstrom from Michigan. You feel me? Like they dapped it up, clapped it. They explained to him the process, the player, the dynamics of this individual, what they bring to the team, not only from a football standpoint, but off the field, community wise, like just how they carry themselves. You've seen a full on team effort, and now with the draft over, they've been able to bring in other people into their scouting and player personnel department, and it's just going to continue to build on that. You just hope that they hit on at least 3 to 4 of these players within this first particular draft.
Okay, now I didn't know Drake. I know Drake. I thought you were about to say something.
AJ stole my thunder.
Oh damn, there it is. All right, cool. So that's gonna be it for us on this show, man. Like I said, everybody. Like AJ said, Josh was checking in today, but he had to push his practice / youth program time back today, so he was unavailable this evening. So he's gonna spend the block next Tuesday. So we didn't lie to y'all. He's gonna be on. But he's gonna be on next Tuesday. So y'all stay tuned for that one. Appreciate everybody who checked in. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button if you're new. But hit that like button if you haven't done so already. The fellas be back next Tuesday. All 32 is back this week. Yeah, man. Oh, Dre, did you want to get things off your chest? Can you share it, or you rather just go ahead and
no, it wasn't nothing serious. It was serious to me.
If you want to get it off your chest, go for it, bro. It's cool, bro. You might as well.
No, I mean, you know, because I try to every Tuesday, I got my little routine. I take the dog out about 4:40, 5:45, you know, let him run around a little bit. I was all right, let me go ahead and pick up the kids some food, get to the restaurant because I don't eat at McDonald's. I got them some McDonald's, something quick. They charged my card on the mobile app, didn't give me the food. So I had to argue until they gave me the food. And that took way too long. Got all the way home and I dropped the food on the goddamn ground. And I had to go back. Dude, so I was just
not a DoorDash at that point, bro.
Yeah, I was so mad, man.
You ain't pick up none and save none. You ain't save no fries, no nothing.
I ain't want to do the kid. If it was somebody else's kids, I might. I wasn't gonna do my kids.
Like he said it was somebody else's kids, bro. Hey, that's funny, bro.
Yo, you know what's crazy? I'm thinking about that. Like a couple weeks ago, I ordered some food on Uber Eats. Tell me about a person picked up my food, got to my crib, they got near my crib. Then they canceled like 2 minutes away from my crib and said that they couldn't make it with my food. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I just paid for someone to eat my food. And then Uber Eats is like, we can't do nothing for you. We'll just refund you the money and you got to order again. I'm like, I just waited an hour for this food.
Crazy.
Bro.
That's even worse,
for
bro.
someone to pick up my food 15 minutes away, come 2 minutes near my crib and keep my food. I'm like, bro, this is insane.
I'd have lost it, bro. I remember some dude. This before I had my ring cam, bro. He came past. I had this salad, bro. I think I came in from a workout and I was just geeking because like the salad is one thing, but it's the garlic bread that come with the salad. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. but
the salad. You want the garlic bread?
No, I like the salad, but the garlic bread is just really that's the joint that hit.
Tops it off.
Yeah, so he get to the joint, he gets to the door. He take the little picture, and I get outside. I'm like, well, where the fuck my food at, bro? Like I start looking. I'm looking on the side of my jaw. I'm looking on the recycling bin right there. I'm looking on my trash bin. I'm looking under the trash bin. I'm like, my food ain't there. And then I see a truck just rolling out the little cul-de-sac zone and taking off. So I'm like, oh, this him. So I call him. I'm like, bro, where my food at, bro? He said, the food's right there. I dropped it off. I said, nigga, stop playing with me and bring me my food back. He said, bro, your food is right there. I said, bro, stop playing me. Bring my food back, bro. So he got quiet. Look, he started moving around, making noises. He said, all right, here's your food, bro. I'm about to bring it back. So he just stayed on the phone with me for like 5 minutes as he continued to drive off. Right? So I'm pissed. Like, I don't know what to do. I know what to do. But it's like he ain't coming back, and it's not. I can't control him. I don't know nothing about him. I just seen the truck. It's nighttime. But eventually, I call Uber or DoorDash, and I make the complaint. I'm like, yeah, this the dude. I'm snitching. I'm doing all that. I'm like, this him. Do something about it. And then next thing I know, 7 o'clock in the morning, as I'm taking Dakota out, my food right there. I'm like, you did all that when you could have just brought my food back.
I don't know why dudes play like that when their license plate usually be on them little apps. Cause a dude like me, I had to find him.
So dude took your salad and your garlic bread and turned it to it and doo-dooed in your food and then brought that joint back.
Then he eat it, bro. I said you did all that, bro. You could have just brought the food back, bro.
Hey, like, your man doo-dooed in your door.
Hey, bro, I threw that joint straight in the trash, bro. I couldn't believe it. I was sick. He had some nerve, bro.
Nigga had some doo-doo in that bag. No way. No way he came back and brought
the food back hours later, bro. I'm like, so you can't be serious, bro. Like, what was you doing?
Hey,
what was you doing, bro? I think that's what people do. Like, if people ain't got no ring cam, they gonna try to take advantage of that. Not everybody, but some gonna do that. Like, all right, you can't catch me. You don't know what just happened. I did drop the food off, took the picture. You know what I'm saying?
I guess if you hungry and you don't want to spend your own money, that's a good way to get fed.
No, you can't be that hungry, man. That's the end of the DoorDash.
Hey, bro,
open up the app and hope a nigga order and you get selected to go pick that joint up.
No bull. He's like, man, I could use a salad, bro. I was like, what the fuck?
That's crazy.
All right, man.
I know that garlic bread was hitting though.
Bro, it do be hitting, bro.
That's probably why he stole it. He wanted the bread.
Oh man.
Three brothers, bro. The little Tuscan chicken salad, chicken salad, with chicken breast, obviously some other things on top, but it's really that garlic bread on the side, bro. That's gonna be best.
Hey, what y'all doing for Juneteenth?
I ain't doing much except for I'm just hanging with the fam, bro. I'm hanging with the fam. Matter of fact, we about to go see Bad Boys, bro.
Oh, okay, Bad
Yeah, we
Boy.
about to go see
Good.
Bad Boys.
I might do that tonight.
Yeah, I heard it was pretty good, man. So I'm about to go check that thing out.
Look, man, I got the best review from Bad Boys from my favorite place to always get reviews from. It's the Giant Seafood Department. The guys that working there, they always tell me about the best things. The Giant Seafood Department, man.
For movie reviews?
For my reviews, man. My man be up in that joint, be like, bruh, I just watched Bad Boys 4. You gotta go see it. All right, say less. But so enjoy, man. I'll probably be doing what a PG County dude would normally do on a day like this. Probably just head up to Six Flags in Mitchellville.
Oh yeah, that ain't bad. Six Flags, I ain't been there in years,
I didn't even know Six Flags was still open.
Yeah, that thing's still open, bro.
Still there.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't pay me to get on one of them damn rides.
Gonna get you some funnel cake, Dre.
I do like funnel cake, but I go up there to play the little basketball. Give me a little 3-point contest, win a couple.
You go up there to get robbed?
Hey, bro.
Hey, I be winning. You don't know my jump shot. I'm Steph Curry.
You want to play the basketball game.
Steph Curry over
we
here,
going, we going off the rails. But if you do go and play basketball tomorrow, please have somebody that you will record that shit. And
you want to see all mix? Yeah.
Send it to the group chat, bro. Now, don't be editing them Jones, bro. We need to see all.
Don't get on CapCut. Don't make no TikTok like Aiyuk.
I got you.
Just
and I'm gonna show the animal that I walk out of there with too. I'm gonna record that. I'm gonna have one of them big joints.
All right, bro. We're gonna see, man. We're gonna see what the Hooper and Dre look like, man.
Hey.
All right, that's it for us. Like I said, appreciate everybody tapping in. Dre, AJ, see y'all next week. All 32 back in a couple days, man. We're up out of here. Peace.